I froze beside the old man's table when I heard him whisper to the empty chair, "I still come because I promised you." His second plate was full. His eyes were wet. And for the first time, I understood that I had been wrong about him.
But to understand how I reached that moment, I must take you back to my first Sunday at the small restaurant.
My name is Sophia. I was 26 years old and I had just started working as a waitress in a quiet family restaurant. Every Sunday at exactly 1 o'clock, an old man named Robert came in. He always asked for the same table, by the window. He always asked for 2 menus. And he always looked at the empty chair, like someone was already sitting there. At first, I thought he was just lonely. Then I saw him smile at that chair and say, "You always liked this place best." That was the first time I felt afraid for him. The next Sunday, Robert came again. He wore a clean brown coat and carried a small white flower in his hand. He placed it on the empty side of the table, very gently, as if he was placing it in someone's hand. I gave him 2 menus because I remembered what he wanted. He smiled and said, "Thank you, Sophia. She would like that." I did not know what to say. I looked at the empty chair, then back at him. He was not joking. He was not confused. He spoke with calm love, and that made the moment even stranger. Robert ordered soup for himself and grilled fish for the empty chair. When I brought the food, he thanked me twice, once for him and once for her. Then he began to talk softly. "The garden is quiet this week," he said. "The roses are late again." I stood near the counter and watched him. He cut his food slowly, but he did not touch the second plate. He only looked at it from time to time. I told myself he needed help. I told myself someone had to bring him back to reality. But I did not know what his reality really was. By the 3rd Sunday, I began to feel responsible for him. I waited for him before he arrived. I kept the window table free. I even prepared 2 glasses of water before he asked. When he entered, his face lit up, but not because of me. It lit up when he saw the empty chair waiting. He touched the back of it and whispered, "I am here." Something inside me hurt. I thought maybe he truly believed someone was sitting there. Maybe grief had trapped him in the past. That thought stayed with me all afternoon. One Sunday, the restaurant was busy, and I almost gave Robert's table to another customer. When he saw someone standing near it, his face changed. He did not shout. He did not complain. He only stopped at the door like a man who had lost his way. I quickly moved the customer and gave Robert his usual table. He sat down slowly and touched the empty chair. "I was scared we lost our place," he said. Those words made my chest tighten. I began to wonder if the table was not just a table. Maybe it was the last piece of someone he could not lose. After that day, I watched him more closely. Robert always arrived with care. He never looked careless or lost. His shirt was pressed. His shoes were clean. His hands shook a little, but his voice was steady. He always ordered the same meal for 2 people. He always stayed for 1 hour. He always paid for both meals. Before leaving, he placed money on the table, looked at the empty chair, and said, "Same time next Sunday." I wanted to ask him the truth, but every time I came close, his quiet smile stopped me. Then one Sunday, rain covered the windows and Robert arrived later than usual. His coat was wet and his face looked tired. I ran to him and said, "Robert, you did not have to come today." He looked surprised, almost hurt. "Of course I had to come," he said. "Sunday is our day." Our day. Those 2 words stayed in my mind. I wanted to protect him, but I also wanted to stop him. I thought his weekly visit was making his pain worse. I thought kindness meant helping him let go. I was wrong. That afternoon, I decided I would speak to him. I waited until he finished eating. The second plate still looked untouched, but Robert looked peaceful. He folded his napkin, then looked at the empty chair with a soft smile. My heart beat fast. I walked to the table and said, "Robert, may I ask you something?" He looked up at me with kind eyes. "Of course, Sophia." I swallowed hard. I knew the question might hurt him, but I believed it had to be asked. So I looked at the empty chair and finally said it.
Who are you talking to, exactly? The restaurant suddenly felt silent to me. Robert did not answer at once. His smile faded, but he did not look angry. He looked at the empty chair for a long moment. Then he looked back at me. My wife, he said. My face became hot. I thought I had touched a wound I had no right to touch. I quickly said, I am sorry. I did not mean to upset you. Robert shook his head gently. No, he said. Maybe it is time someone asked.
Robert touched the edge of the table. Her name was Margaret, he said. She died 3 years ago. His voice was quiet, but every word was clear. We came here every Sunday for 40 years. Same table, same time, same food. She always sat in that chair. He smiled sadly. I do not think she is really sitting there, Sophia. I know she is gone. I felt my throat close. All this time, I thought he was confused. But he was not confused. He was remembering with love. Robert continued, People think grief must look a certain way. They think I should stay home, close the door, and move on quietly. But when I sit here, I remember her laugh. I remember her stories. I remember the life we built. He looked at the second plate. I order for 2 because I lived as 2 for most of my life. I am learning to live as one, but I do not want to erase her. I could not speak. My idea of helping him suddenly felt small and cruel. After that day, I never looked at the empty chair the same way again. Every Sunday, I kept Robert's table ready. I placed 2 menus down without pity. I served 2 glasses of water without fear. Sometimes Robert spoke to the chair. Sometimes he sat quietly and watched the window. And I understood that both things were love. Grief does not always need to be fixed. Sometimes it only needs to be respected. The empty chair was not a sign that Robert had lost reality. It was proof that real love can remain, even after someone is gone.